This question is from Roshio. I am a doctor and I notice these days kids are being bombarded with antibiotics, steroids, and immunity boosters. Is it possible to keep kids healthy with a good immunity by natural means?
Definitely possible, but it depends on various things. One important thing is, if we want to talk about India alone, one problem with India is there is not enough natural spaces, nor is it there in the culture for people to take their children to natural spaces. They're all growing up in bird's nests. But bird grows up in a nest and then flies. I'm calling an apartment a bird's nest. It's a bird's nest, isn't it? Because in that limited space, without touching the soil, without touching natural air and without being exposed to the various aspects of nature, leaving the many other things, the fundamental thing is the five elements of water, soil, air, fire and space. These five things are the basic composition of this body. We have… in the basic practice of yoga is called Bhuta Shuddhi. That is, you cleanse these five elements within you. If these five elements are functioning well, everything else will function well. So the fundamentals of yoga comes from what is called as Bhuta Shuddhi. If you attain to what is called as Bhuta Siddhi, that you attain to certain mastery over any one of them, suddenly you live in a heightened level of existence. So can everybody do this? Yes, with simple awareness they can do it. They didn't keep water for you. Simple thing, water is kept in a copper vessel. Just something as small as that can make a big difference. And how you treat the water. Today there is enough science to tell you that water, soil, food has its own memory. What kind of memory you create, how you receive the food. The same food will do one thing in one person and completely different things in another person, depending upon how you receive it. So, culturally we have these things, if food arrives, you sit there, take a minute, bow down to the food, not to some god, to the food, because it's your life, isn't it? Hello? What's sitting in your plate is not something else, it's your life, yes or no? Right now what you're breathing is your life or no? Did you ever… No? There. Something that you've not seen. The soil that you walk upon, the water that you drink, the air that you breathe, the food that you eat, this is your life. This is the source of your life right now. So in this culture, we always approach them in a certain way, not in a wanton way. When I say in a wanton way, some time ago I was just driving in Washington, D.C., in a very, what to say, an upscale area where all the top financial offices and all those kind of things are there. It's around 12:30 in the afternoon, I'm driving and by looking at the men and women who are standing there, they're all well-dressed and they're just professionals working in financial companies and management companies and this kind of people. They're all standing outside and the food, their idea of nature is this, food is being sold on certain… what to say, not a proper restaurant, but it's being served on the street. So everybody is standing and of course, you know, that burger which is actually made for a hippopotamus, because it's this thick, how do you eat this? I don't have a mouth like that. How do you eat something which is this thick? But that's how you're supposed to eat. They're all standing and hacking at their food like this. I just saw this. If my mother or my grandmother has seen this, she would say they're eating like dogs. Yes, but this is our modern life, standing, mouth full and talking. You won't believe this. We used to do programs, now we have our own centers in America. Otherwise, earlier we used to do residential programs in summer camps which the schools use. Everywhere when I first went, I see, for choking, When you're having in the dining halls, if choking happens, what to do? Emergency choking, this thing. In every school, this exercise is taught in America. How many cases do you get in India of choking on food? Not at all, isn't it? I have not seen a single person in my life choking on food. I didn't understand why will choke, but every year so many children die on choking. Why? Why? Do they have a smaller gullet or something? Nothing like that. Then I saw the problem is you're eating and talking at the same time. We were always taught, when we are eating, you don't open your mouth to speak, you shut up and eat. Hello? Focus on what you're eating, it's your life, you eat properly without talking to anybody. Mouth full, you're talking and you're choking on the food that you eat. Generally, in this tradition, it's considered the worst kind of death that can happen to you is you choked on your own food. So, like this, in the name of modernity, we are bringing these kind of practices. We don't treat the food that we eat properly. It's not just the taste, it is not just the way it's prepared, it's also the way you receive it. Very important. So, your devotion is for a God that you have not seen. But if I don't give you food for 5 days, if even God appears, what will you ask? Food only. So water that you drink, food that you eat, the air that you breathe and the soil that you walk upon, if you develop a certain sense of emotion towards it, they will behave differently within you. I know immediately, once this thing goes out, there will be activists who are in this country who will scream and yell and say this. But for those idiots, even the Western scientists have come out and said, the human consciousness has a huge impact on the food and water that we consume and even the air that we breathe. There's substantial evidence for that. As you said, even though we have the wrong skin, slowly we're getting around.